Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Signet Jewelers Rotational Roundtable. We are super excited for you all to join us today. I'm Marcus Blake, an HR Rotational Associate here at Signet Jewelers, and the goal of our conversation today is for you to learn a little bit more about our rotational programs along with MTP, and we want to do that by sharing some of our experiences that we've had here. Before we do that, we have a special guest, Michaela Odell, who will give you a brief overview of Signet's rotational programs along with MTP. And I'll hand it off to Michaela.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As Marcus said, I'm Michaela Odell. I'm a learning and organizational development partner responsible for our rotational talent development programs here at Signet Jewelers. Now, before we jump in, just some background. Signet Jewelers is the world's largest retailer of diamond jewelry, operating more than 2,800 stores worldwide. And we are a people-first company. This core value is at the heart of everything we do, from empowering our valued team members, collaborating with our customers, to fostering the communities in which we live and serve. So today, I'm excited to be here to share some background on Signet's rotational talent development programs. Currently, we have two programs, which you'll see here. Our MTP, or Merchandising Training Program, which provides a 6-month rotational experience for entry-level merchandising or marketing team members. Now, this program, it's set up to prepare these team members for the assistant merchant, assistant planner, or marketing specialist roles. In addition to that, we also have our rotational talent development program, which provides an immersive rotational experience in specific functional areas to help identify, assess, and grow talent based on specific functional needs. Now, currently in our rotational talent development program, we have trainees in areas such as HR, finance, digital, and supply chain, some of which you'll hear from today. And as you'll notice, the rotation lengths do vary for each of those areas based on department needs. Now, some additional information on both programs. As you'll see here, each program trainee will experience immersive rotations in various areas of the organization. At the core of both our merchandising training program and our rotational talent development program are specific components, including but not limited to mentoring, hands-on work experiences, training, and leadership development. Now, what you'll also see here, the programs do have similar target audiences. However, as mentioned before, MTP is focused on merchandising or marketing, whereas our rotational talent development program is focused on specific functional areas like in the business, like digital, finance, HR, and supply chain. A couple other things to point out here, both programs have the potential to be hybrid. Now, MTPs must live in proximity of our Akron or Dallas support center to be on site according to our hybrid work schedule. Rotational trainees in the rotational talent development program may have the opportunity to be remote during the program. However, there is always the possibility of relocation and travel. So that is a very high-level overview of our programs here at Signet, which the group will share more about today. We're thrilled that you are here and hope that you're looking forward to learning more about Signet and our rotational programs by connecting and meeting with some of our current and past participants. So with that, Marcus, I will turn it back over to you to get us started.
Yeah, thanks so much, Michaela. And I realize there might be some questions about the difference between a rotational associate or anybody in MTP versus an intern. So our conversation today will focus more on the rotational component and the MTP component, but I did want to direct you all to a past roundtable that we did with interns on our Signet Way Up page. So if you do have any questions about that, that would be a good resource as well. And of course, if you have any questions about that presentation that Michaela just gave, or any questions throughout our chat today, there is a Q&A function, I believe on your bottom left, that you should be able to use. Any questions that you might have, we'd be open to answering as well, and we'll try to get through all of them throughout our presentation today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce some of our Signet team members here today. We'll go ahead and start with AJ.
Hey everyone, my name is AJ Glass. I went to Ohio State, graduating with a degree in business management. So for me, I'm part of the supply chain rotation that Signet has, with a focus specifically on procurement sourcing.
Hey, thanks, AJ. And Keitra, will go to you next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kedra White. I am currently a sourcing specialist. My rotation was in MTP, focusing on merchandising.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole. I graduated from Kent State University with my master's in user experience design. And then I'm currently on the rotational program for the UX track.
And I will kind of round this out. I'm Marcus Blake, as mentioned a little bit earlier. I went to Florida State for my undergrad in human resource management. Recently finished up my MBA in human resource management as well from Florida Gulf Coast University. And my title here is HR Rotational Associate. I would get into some of my core responsibilities, but that changes on a day-to-day basis. So gotta have that flexibility and agility. But thank you, AJ, Nicole, and Keisha for joining us today. It's so much appreciated. So we'll kind of just go ahead and hop right in. So my first question for the group is, how did we get here? So what encouraged us to apply here at Signet and eventually accept the role?
Well, I'll kick it off. My position is a little unique. I have been with the company for a while, and I started as a detail assistant in merchandising, and my love for merchandise and all of the aspects of merchandise had me inquisitive on wanting to apply for the merchandising training program. So that was my excitement and love for merchandising that helped me apply and also be accepted into the program.
A little bit in the same situation for me. So, of course, this program is new, but I'm not new to Signet. I've been here for over 6 years, and just thinking about it, Signet has played like a really big role in just my development as a professional. So, I was looking for that next step and what might be next, and I found this, thankfully, and decided it'd be the right thing for me. Especially, looking at the job description, and when you don't know a lot about something, it just makes you want to drive in and just go for it. So, happy to be here.
Yeah, and for me, so I had a background in retail and I was finishing up school and I wanted to find a way to kind of combine my previous experience with UX. And so I was kind of just doing some research. I saw the job posting on LinkedIn, and then actually a recruiter from Way Up reached out to me. And I just was looking at the company and it kind of just checked all my boxes. I wanted a consumer first company. They're very big on the consumer and the end user. Which is my responsibility as a UX designer. And so I applied and it's been the best experience ever.
Yeah, and then for me, I had, I guess, a little bit of a unique path here as well. I graduated with my undergrad degree, was in the recruiting field for a little bit, and then I knew that I wanted a little bit more out of my career as far as that development aspect. So when Signy created this program, I knew it was for me. And although throughout my recruiting process, though it was unique, I think the most unique factor of it was actually the first person that contacted me was one of our recruiters, Vicky Allen. She was very personable within that experience for me. And that's what really attracted me to Signet because it wasn't ever about what can Marcus do for Signet. It was always who is Marcus the person. So that's definitely what encouraged me to accept the role here at Signet. All right. And I want to ask, so we all work in a little bit of a different capacity. So I'm hybrid within the office. Nicole, you're completely remote. So let's just talk a little bit more about how we connect with our peers, kind of being hybrid, and then in that remote factor as well.
Yeah, I can kick us off with this one. So I work fully remote and love it. It's been a great experience. When I first started, I made an effort to set up one-on-ones with all of my team members and people in like indirect teams that I work with just to, introduce myself, get to know everybody. But as far as working remote, I feel like my team does a really good job at staying connected. We do monthly like virtual happy hours where we'll connect with each other. We also do like a monthly streaming club where we get together and talk about the shows that we're kind of binging and watching, which is really fun to do. And then we also do, monthly coffee chats where they kind of pair us with people that we don't work directly with and just to get to know cross-functional team members. And then as far as my personal team, we have daily stand-up meetings where we meet every morning, talk about what we're working on, who needs support. So working remote, we feel like we don't see each other in person, but we feel very connected, or I feel very connected to my team. So it's been very positive.
I'll go next. For me, I am hybrid, and so part of my team is cross campus, and so we consistently are on calls with each other. We meet, even with our other counterparts. We're always on teams, and we have our cameras on, so we do feel a connection with one another, and so it's like nothing is ever lost or missed because we are constantly picking up signing into teams and calling each other, even if it's just to talk or chat for a minute or whatever questions that we have. So we find a way to stay connected. We also started a wind down Fridays on Friday. So we get together after work and just kind of stay on a little bit longer and communicate, talk about personal life things going on, or excitements that are going on in our families. So we stay connected in a lot of different ways. And working hybrid, I mean, it gives you that flexibility with coming in a few days a week and being able to work from home. So you have flexibility to also just make appointments and take care of anything that you need personally.
Yeah, no, I'll kind of bump in here, and I wanted to let you know. So, of course, I work hybrid in the Akron office, and for me, I find it really easy to stay connected with certain peers. I'm a proponent of just getting up and walking to the desk and talking to them about what I had for dinner. But yeah, that's just kind of thing, really got kind of being able to interact with everybody, especially across people across the business as well. Because just within my role, I have to collaborate a lot with people within finance, supply chain, digital. So I find it to be very, very easy. And then on the remote end, everyone's just kind of a team chat away. I have people who randomly just call me in the middle of lunch and they're like, "Hey, can you help me with this?" Or "Can we talk about this?" And these are just ways that we stay connected. And I think that's, it's super, super easy.
Yeah, everyone's really flexible, I would say. If you want to get, 20, 30 minutes on someone's calendar, they're for the most part, as long as you have something directly they're doing, they're going to be willing to talk to you. I've enjoyed being hybrid, definitely meeting everyone, like Nicole mentioned, that first one-on-one experience. But after you have that, it makes it just really easy to reach out to someone when they know you, and they'll be, respond immediately. So I enjoy it. I tell my team I want to come in office, and they're like, shh. So I think they enjoy being remote a lot of the time, but hybrid is I think it's the way to go for sure for now in the future of business.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to bump in with that as well is that when I first got here, everyone on the team scheduled 30 minutes just to talk to me, just to figure out like who I was and what my interests were, what's my background. And that was something I really, really appreciated just because even in my last role that didn't happen. I just met people on a whim, but people were actually really excited to kind of understand who I was and how I got here and what my end goals are as well. So we actually did have a question in the chat that I think might relate very well to what we just talked about. And someone was curious about the culture. What's the culture like at Signet and kind of through our lens within the rotational program?
I would say it's a very positive work culture. Like I said, like my team in XD, like we are always connected and everybody is really eager to, support you. And, if you have questions, they want to help you. And like my leadership is also really supportive. So it's a really positive work culture from my perspective.
To add on to that, I think the benefit of this, the rotation specifically, is that the fact that it's so new. The amount of people that just reach out to me, they're like, first of all, can you even explain like what this is? It's really cool to be like, yeah, it just started, Signet just launched it off. We're the one starting it. So it makes it really easy. And it's a great culture too, because they're actually interested. They want to know, they want to help. Everyone has said that. So
I agree with everything that's been said. Um, the the ability of how many different leaders come up to you, not even leaders, even your partners come up to you and are eager to help, eager to answer questions, and the ability to collaborate in everything. So I think we have the best culture around, if you ask me. So
Yeah, and I'll tell you. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry, I was going to add something that I thought of, but I was going to say we have a very like positive work-life balance
right.
culture. I feel like that a lot of or not a lot, but some companies might not have that. And I would say Signet does a really good job at balancing work and life. So
Yeah, 100%. And even within that culture, one of the things that I've realized a lot is that nobody's unreachable in the sense of when I got here, I've gotten to collaborate with whether that be managers, directors, VPs, SVPs, people on the Signet leadership team. I remember specifically the vice president of talent acquisition came up to my desk one day and she was like, you haven't had any one-on-one time with the chief people officer. And my head is like, why would you want one-on-one time with me? But nobody is unreachable. Everybody is so curious about you as a person, you and your development, and they're always going to ask, what can they do to help you with that development? So I think that's just, speaks to a lot about our culture here.
If you take a step back from just looking at the rotation program and also like the kind of corporate office setting, if you just think about Signet as a whole, our entire business is just around helping our customers and meeting them where they're at in some of the biggest moments of their lives, whether that be, celebrating holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. We're always people first. So, you can't be people first to your customers and not to your employees. So they definitely do a really good job of that. And just making sure that, yes, we're customer first. And, we need you to help us reach the customers. So they are all around. It's really solid.
100% I agree. Perfect. So my next question for the group is, let's talk about some of the projects that you all had the chance to work on.
Well, I'll mention one. There was one where we partnered with our stores to consolidate our top of counter merchandise, where all stores will be cohesive and send one message. And so I had the pleasure of working with vendors along with merchant teams to kind of develop the elements and everything for our merchandise so it'll be more presentable in stores and to our guests in stores. So it was a fun collaboration, let me tell you. A lot of work, a lot of hours, and collaborating with cross-functionally with everyone.
Yeah, I can go. So yeah, I've done a variety of projects. I just wrapped up my first rotation, which was in user research. So that's been like the bulk of my projects so far. But I was on a project where we were refining sort of the search functionality on our website. You can search, you can do visual search, you get search suggestions. So we were just kind of testing new prototypes with users. So I got to help put together a discussion guide for that and also facilitate one of my first remote user interviews, which was really cool. And then another one I did similar, but I was able to go in store and test some prototypes with our jewelry experts, like our store employees. And so I was able to facilitate those for the first time, which was also awesome experience. And then, yeah, and then right now, I just started my design rotation. I'm working on an iconography test right now. So kind of pulling in all the icons that we want to get feedback on from our users.
Yeah, I'll go next. I have a few things going on right now with the HR department. So throughout my talent acquisition rotation, I'm actually taking on all the internships that just launched. So kind of managing that process of interviewing some of the interns along with the support of some of our other team members. And then we also have another project going on with some high school students as well. We have the opportunity to bring on 3 high school interns here locally. So that's been a bulk of my time. And prior to that, I've been helping out a lot of our what we call our field talent acquisition, which would be all of our stores. So assisting the stores in any hiring they need, background checks, and things of that sort. So been a lot of learning so far and looking forward to the future of that as well.
Right now, I'm in one of the distribution centers that Signet has. So it's super interesting to see, because even though I'll be working remotely after the program, I'm in here now helping out, scanning packages, sorting, and really just doing like QC of merchandise too. So something I never thought I'd even get the chance to do or see. So it really just shows you how much you can see within the company doing something like this. But yeah, I mean, even just before this, I was helping send out e-com orders to all of our customers out there shopping online. So that's me out there sending you guys stuff.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. And then I want to pull one question from the chat. Someone asked, what helped you stand out during the application process and the interview process? I want to kick this one off just because, again, I mean, I felt like within my interview process, I could just be myself. And that was just the main thing. I've clearly stated my goals, what I was looking for out of the program, what I was looking for long term. And, I guess that kind of stood out. But just coming with a clear and defined mindset when it comes to the rotational, because at that point you're graduated, you're kind of looking around different options, and what this program is built to do is to give you that in-depth experience within the field that you studied. So you won't be focused on one specific role. You're going to get a bevy of different things that you're going to be involved in, and there's going to be people that are trying to involve you in X, Y, and Z. So just kind of being able to show your passion and show where that lies, what your goals are, and there's always going to be somebody to help you out here. And then, so just want to go to our next question that I had kind of built out for us. So, um, if anybody was considering a rotational position, what advice would you give them? whether that be within that interview process, with an application process, or maybe on day one when they get here?
Can I jump in and
I-
start
You
with
go.
day one? I'm so sorry.
No,
With
you
day
go, you
one,
go.
I would say be open-minded and also to be and to know that ask for clarifications if something doesn't if you don't understand anything, ask for clarification, be open-minded, be coachable on day one. That's what I would say.
Be curious too. Like ask every question you have. Show your interest, because these are whoever you're talking to. They're probably a professional in that field, and they're the experts. So be curious. They're gonna love to talk about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Me personally, like I studied user experience, but my last rotation is going to be in product management. So I have a little less experience there, but all in all, the purpose is to kind of round out, who you're going to be in your role and expose you to like multiple areas of the business. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, kind of be a beginner in certain things. And when you're uncomfortable, when you're out of your comfort zone, that's generally when you grow the most. So yeah.
Yeah. Um, a really good question somebody asked here is within the rotational program, do you have a mentorship program? Which we do, so we'll kind of give you a little bit more information on that. And then how is evaluation handled throughout the rotation? So I want to kick us off, and then I'll let you all follow as well. But yes, we do have a mentorship program. You're assigned a mentor basically at the start. So, for example, my mentor, his name is Tom Parks. He's an HR business partner here. And really what that relationship is about is first creating a personal connection. So I can go to Tom for literally anything. I just found out that he's a huge basketball fan, as am I. So we have a basketball podcast that we listen to and we talk about. But even more importantly, I get to ask a little bit more about his career, how he ended up here at Signet, how has his career evolved at Signet, and that really gives me an idea of, where I kind of want to create my path. And he's very, very knowledgeable about the HR department in general. So I can go to him and ask him about a talent acquisition question, and he might know the answer. And if he doesn't know the answer, he knows somebody that knows the answer. So, and that's really what it's about. They give you that opportunity to really, really network with people throughout the business. And of course, your mentor is going to have those goals and interests that align with yours as well. So whatever your long-term goal is, whatever path you want to take, that's what your mentor is going to be looking to help you propel in. And then AJ, if you don't mind, kind of sharing a little bit more about your mentor.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not already, but we have like a defined mentor with the program that is selected. But then you also have the opportunity. I know that right now we have mentors, so that's not for us. But just with Signet in general, there's a mentorship program you can apply for, and you can be a mentor, you can be a mentee, different things like that. So my mentor has been great. We've become like friends. We talk about what's going on outside of work. For me, it's because we already kind of work on the same stuff already. So we're already talking about that work stuff all the time. So this gives us a chance to talk about the outside stuff too. But even the leader of the rotational program, Michaela, she's been a mentor to me as well. Just doing a great job of staying connected, scheduling meetings just to hear how we're doing. And to answer questions, even if we don't have any, she's like, just so you know, like, don't forget, like I'm here for you. You can really feel that she's genuine about that. I mentioned I was interested in sustainability and ESG for sourcing, and she was the first person to tell me who to talk to, got me in contact with them. And before I could even think about sending them an email, they were like, yeah, she's like, yeah, they're going to send you something in a schedule for you. And I was like, thank you. So it's great, everyone all around.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I know they mentioned there is a structured mentorship program too, but I honestly feel like I have so many mentors. Like my immediate boss, Brad, he's like amazing. And then like the other designers on my team, again, like super approachable. You can message anybody on Teams. And then my creative director, she was my assigned mentor. So everyone's just great. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. And then just a quick question that I had for the group as well. What's been the most surprising thing that you've encountered since you've been here?
I'll say for me, during the MTP training program, how fast we prepare for upcoming seasons, um, scheduling vendor meetings, um, picking product. Like the time goes by fast. It's like as soon as you wrap up Christmas holiday, we're going into Valentine's Day, and sometimes that month starts several months prior to the holiday happening. So it's very fast paced, moving, but never a dull moment. So I'd say that's one of the most surprising effects that I've experienced here.
I would just say how big the company is. Like it feels like based on who you're talking to, it's a whole entire different company because it's just there's so many things going on in so many different departments. And I remember, just having a question. I said, I wonder if there's someone that does this with the company, and I'll go and do some research on it. And there's like a team of like 20 people that do that. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's a really massive company, and with a lot of people. And the second thing too, specifically for supply chain, like I said, I'm with the distribution centers in this kind of 6 week kind of period, and just like what do you want to call it? The sorting process that they have too is it's crazy. Like everything, even from room to room, is scanned. I mean, there's no losing track of anything in the DCs. So it's really just interesting to see how advanced it is, the technology and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll kind of butt in there. No, when you talk about how large the company is, it's almost you don't realize it until you're here. And when I talk to people across the business, they're like, yeah, sometimes we get up at like 5 in the morning because we have teammates in like India or something like that. And within HR, we were on a meeting, I think earlier this year with people in the UK. Obviously, have team members in Canada. I think we have a vendor in Mexico as well. So, it's just a lot of people that you're going to be interacting with. So, yeah, I think that's a great call out as far as how large the company is and some of the things that go on. Perfect. And then I know we talked about kind of like specific projects that we worked on, but I do want to go into specific rotations. So I know there was a few questions about what's within the rotations. So I can start with mine and I'll have you all follow along. But my first rotation within the HR rotational program has been talent acquisition. So that's actually a mixture of both field talent acquisition, what we call support center, but it's corporate talent acquisition and university relations. So all those components do break down into different things, but just a general gist of it, field will be all of our stores, kind of supporting that recruitment process of that. Support center would be anything within the Akron or Dallas area. And then we also have university relations, which would be all of our internship programs that we have here as well. After that, I do rotate over into the total rewards rotation, and that's a mixture of compensation and benefits. Thereafter, I'll be in the learning and development space, which I just learned yesterday that it's actually a little bit broader than I thought it was. So that can be anything from new management, that can be any promotions that anybody has. We'll kind of go through some classes for that. And also just developmental opportunities that we might have within Signet. So those classes that will help with personalization and professional development. And lastly, I'll have the HR business partner role, which I have intentionally not learned a lot about, a little bit scared of it, but as we get to it, we'll find out a little bit more. So AJ, if you don't mind going next, we'd like to learn a bit more about supply chain.
So I'm reading all these great questions here in the chat, thinking about, the best answers for them.
Yeah.
Skipped over to Nicole for me while I look at these.
Yeah, Nicole, you'll go next.
I'll go. Yeah, so I'm in the UX track. So my first rotation, it's 4 months in user research. So we do a lot of usability testing, user interviews, getting user feedback on the designs that we're creating. And then second rotation is experience design. So that's more visual design. We work in Figma. And then my last one is product management, which again, I have a little experience in that one, but essentially product design and research all work together. So the purpose of the program is to kind of understand each area and make you a better designer or researcher or product manager.
So my 6 months, my first 6 weeks was with indirect sourcing, which is everything non-merchandise related that you can think of with the contracts. Then I went into procurement purchasing, which is kind of like the next step. So sourcing does the sourcing, obviously, and once those contracts are finalized, purchasing will go in, monitor any inventory, and then create the POs and stuff like that to make sure everything is good and the company can just flow smoothly. The next 6 weeks, which I'm in right now, is with the DC, all of our different distribution centers. Spent times with different managers. Right now, I'm actually at a second one, which is crazy. And there's even a third one too. So I'll be there next week. And after this 6 weeks, I'm going to go back with the indirect sourcing team for more like an intensive kind of part of it. And then from there, after that 6 months, I'll be in indirect sourcing.
Yeah, and then Keitra, I know you're a little bit unique because you were in MTP, so
Yes.
kind of tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay, with MTP rotations, you kick off in merchandising where you'll be working closely with the merchants and assistant merchants there, being trained on selecting products. You'll be involved in vendor meetings. You'll also work with other cross-functional partners as far as marketing, being able to select product that we will advertise on promotions in stores. And then you would also have a planning rotation where you will work still closely with merchandising, but from an inventory aspect and also allocations aspect as far as displaying, well, where to send merchandise to certain stores, specific regions. And then you also will have a sourcing rotation where you would also still be partnering with merchandising, but also looking at our merchandise from a costing aspect. And then you also will have a marketing rotation where we will still be working with merchandising as far as setting up um, grids for marketing, excuse me, everyone, grids for stores and being able to send out grids to stores so they can display signs for promotions and different aspects of that nature. So each rotation is about maybe 6 weeks each. And so you'll be working cross-functional with all of these departments within each other.
Yeah, and I
Adrian,
think that's what's so. Oh, sorry, go ahead, AJ.
no, I just Keisha, every time you mention sourcing, always like I'm like, oh, like what is that? But
Yes.
just like the
Yeah,
merchandise sourcing and the sourcing that we do is just it's completely
So
different. So that's and the teams don't even have anything to do with each other.
no,
So it's wild.
it is. It is. But at some point we may cross paths, but for the most part, they are two different sourcing functions.
yeah, and I think that's what's so cool about all of our programs is just that you get that holistic view of everything. So rather than kind of sticking to one role and just moving up that, for lack of a better word, ladder within that role, you get to really experience everything, get a deep understanding of it. That way, whenever you decide to settle on something, you can pull things from everywhere else because you know how that holistic process works. So, I think that's just super, super cool.
And
And
Marcus,
then,
can I say one thing?
yeah,
And
yeah.
also with all of the unique um, functionalities of each department, you may be set on one role. For instance, you want to go into buying, but then it may lead you to sourcing or via marketing. So it's very unique. So I just say that's why I say be open-minded because you may have a plan and that plan may change within your career as time permits or goes on.
That's why it's so important to take advantage and try and meet as many people as you can, and learn about what they do. Because there could be a time where they're looking for more people, and you let them you show your interest, and like they already know you, and just they're like they'll give you a chance.
That's what it's about, going back to that network piece. Nobody's gonna give you a chance they don't know you. The first step is really just getting to know people and always saying like, hey, if you ever need somebody for this, I'm your person. And that will always kind of be sticking on their mind. So when that opportunity does come up, it could possibly be yours. Perfect. And then I wanted to kind of ask, and we got to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm curious to know how does your department collaborate with people throughout the company? So I mean, HR, that's we collaborate with everybody, but I can tell you within the talent acquisition space, kind of launching some of our internships, I'm meeting with all the leaders within the functions of the business that have an intern. So kind of having some one-on-one time with them, understanding what they are looking for in an intern, have some information that I can share about the plans for that intern while they're here. So that's just one way that HR kind of collaborates with other people throughout the company, but curious to see how digital supply chain might do that as well.
So for sourcing, pretty much, we have different thresholds for the amount of spend for a contract. But if let's say the Nicole and her digital team, they are looking for some kind of new technology that's really expensive. They're gonna come to us, and we're gonna partner together to go to the market and see what's best for the company, what's best for her team, make sure that what we are looking for, what we find, has everything to make everyone happy, and then move on from there. And then they get whatever they need, and we go to the next team with their request. So really, in a way, it's almost like just being a consultant for your internal business team, and like they're our customers in a way. So making sure they're taken care of whatever they need to source.
Yeah, so I would say, as I said earlier, I'm in the XD department and we work really closely with product management and research. So, usually product, they'll come to us with features that they want to implement, on the website based on business goals. And then we in XD will work with research to kind of gather user insights and user feedback and test designs and kind of iterate, to kind of, bring it back to product to basically share how the user responds to these features and what's kind of the best execution for moving forward in design. So that's kind of how we collaborate cross-functionally in XD.
And for my unique role in sourcing, we are working cross campus, so we do a lot of meetings virtually. So we collaborate via Teams. For those that are here, I'm in Dallas, so those are here in Dallas, we may reserve a room and meet there because we're meeting with different departments such as merchandising, could be customs, could be a very vast variety of different departments. And so our main source, because we are across campus and some of us are even here in Dallas, we either come together in a room, we uh, via Teams, however we decide to get together, we collaborate that way.
Perfect. And then there's actually one question I saw before we actually started the um, rotational roundtable today, and I really wanted to touch on this. Somebody asked, what skills are required to be successful within this role? And I really want to start us off with this one just because I'm a big proponent of, we're all still learning. That's kind of what our role is for us to learn and develop into who we want to be throughout our rotations. But I think the biggest thing is just honestly staying curious and never being afraid to ask questions. And that's kind of how we all got here about being curious of what our future looks like and being curious about what the entire field looks like. And then even with answering questions, there might be some times I was just talking to somebody yesterday and they're like, oh, I didn't want to ask this question because I saw that you were busy, or I didn't want to ask this question because it may make you think that I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, none of us know what we're doing. We're figuring it out day by day. Ask those questions. That's how we collaborate and that's how we learn. And I ask a million questions to everybody I work with. Everybody I work with now, they know I'm going to come to them with questions, one-off questions. But these are all questions in good faith, and really prioritize your learning and your development, and that's what's going to make you successful throughout your time here.
And can I add, I'm kind of old school, so note taking has really helped me. Like in the beginning, I had a notebook and a calculator. Whenever I walked to any meeting, anything that I had going on, I would have those things. Note taking, again, just prefacing of being open-minded and just knowing that anything that you don't understand, don't be afraid to ask questions on and get clarification.
I'll
Yeah.
piggyback off that. Oh,
Oh, my bad. Michaela introduced me to Microsoft OneNote, changed my life.
Yes, OneNote is amazing.
yes.
Amazing.
No, I was gonna say basically same thing you guys said, and then I would say also it's pretty, be a communicator. Don't be afraid to ask questions, but also don't be afraid to kind of share what your goals are with your leaders and kind of share, what you want to learn. I think that's really important for this role, is just being an open communicator. And then I don't know if there's any UX people on this call, but Figma, user testing, those are some hard skills if you want to learn. But yeah, everything everyone else said for sure.
Absolutely. Perfect. And then we do have a few questions here in the chat. One of these I can take on my own is, are you currently finding interns? Are we open internships in the future? We are currently finding interns. Everything that we have available right now is on the way up page. We possibly do have some more coming sooner rather than later. So just kind of stay up to date with our way up page. Everything that we post will be up there. So just make sure to kind of check in on that every so often. And once you see something that appeals to you, you can put in your application for that, and we'll definitely be reaching out. And then also another question is, how does Signet approach professional development, and how do they keep their team ahead of the curve, at least up to date within the industry? So I think this is what this program is for. We're always kind of collaborating and communicating on, what we're working on. So as far as approaching professional development, there's plenty of options, but this role specifically is to kind of build that professional development. And then outside of that, the learning and development team has numerous resources and classes that you can use. We have a system here called Brilliant University that focuses on different fields, and whether that be LinkedIn learning courses, any readings that might pertain to your field, you're able to take part of that at any time. It's open 24/7. So go in there and kind of learn anything that you want to. And then keeping your team ahead. With our company being so large, we have a lot of brilliant people here. So we're always just sharing information on what's going on within the industry. Hey, have you read this? Have you heard this? Maybe this is something that we should look into. So that's just kind of how a few ways that we kind of keep ahead with that professional development.
I think that senior leadership is they're definitely very transparent. I know that even our CEO on our calls every quarter, they'll let you know exactly how we're doing. They'll communicate that down, and you'll be fully in the know of what's going on now, what the future looks like, how everything is going with the company, and then they're really strategic based. So based on those answers, that will determine your next step, your next goal, different things like that too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this program in itself is kind of a testament to how Signet approaches, leadership development, people development. I think it's definitely one of their core values. And yeah, that was all I was gonna say. It's like,
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I mean, good point because, within this role, AJ, you mentioned kind of being like a consultant in one of your roles, and we're kind of like that for everybody. I don't know anything about digital, so if I have a question about digital, I'm going to Nicole to ask that question. Or if I have a question about supply chain, I'm going to go to AJ about that. If I have a question about sourcing, I'll go to Keitra about that. And if they have a question about HR, I would be the person to go to. Because it really does test your knowledge and some of the things that you're learning, whether that be from, taking it from the classroom and applying it to hands-on work, practical work. And that's really what it's about, taking every single opportunity that comes your way in order to build that development and build that confidence in what you're doing. So I think that's again a good way that we approach it. And then I know we're going to be running up on time here in just a bit, so I do want to ask one more question, which would be, somebody asked, what advice would you give for someone looking to apply for rotation, but it doesn't directly align with their academic background? How can they stand out? I will start this off again, and then I'll have some of you jump in. I talk to a lot of people on a daily basis that, they didn't study X, Y, and Z in college and just fell into something. I was just talking to someone that studied finance within college, but now she's in HR. So it's a little bit of a switch, but there's a lot of people like that, that have studied something and maybe when they get out, they're either A, they can't find a job in it, or they get into a job and they're like, oh, this is not what I thought it would be. Again, with Signet, you as a person, you're always going to stand out, and that's what the main point, the main goal of it is. If we can truly see your intentions and truly see your goals and help you, more importantly, help you build to that, I think that's just what's going to put you over the top, and that's how you're going to stand out. Nobody here is going to be a whole different person when they leave the building. Everybody, what you see is kind of what you get from most people. So, yeah, just really, like I said, just be yourself. Be yourself. Understand what you are trying to get out of this program. Make that clear as far as what you're trying to get out of the program. Then hopefully it should work out. Anybody have any other advice outside of that?
Uh, my rotation wasn't in what I went to school for, so long story short, it can be done.
Right. Yeah, I think that might be everything. So we will wrap for today. Of course, I want to just kind of wrap by thanking everyone for joining us this afternoon. We really, really do appreciate your time. All of our current intern positions, as noted before, are actually posted on Way Up. So anything that's available, you are able to view as of right now. And if you are in a different boat of you're recently graduated or you are graduating this fall or spring, just be on the lookout for our early career opportunities. And we have those across HR, finance, supply chain, digital, and MTP, as we mentioned. And then, of course, if you all have anything that you all need, anybody on the panel today will be available on LinkedIn. So just never hesitate to reach out to us. We're always here to help answer any questions that you might have. I always tell people that, really just reach out. You never know where that conversation could take you. So, we definitely implore you to do that. But with that, I thank everybody for joining and take care.